Big poppin', money in the bank coming, dropping the deposit. Having it my way, so I got these bitches watching. Steady getting to it, couldn't fit it in my pocket. Flexing everything, baby, tell me big poppin'. Money in the bank coming, dropping the deposit. Having it my way, so I got these bitches watching. Steady getting to it, couldn't fit it in my pocket. Flexing everything, baby, tell me what the topic.
What's poppin', everybody? It's your girl, Henny, and I'm back to pour up at the bar with you. Now, if you are new to the channel, kick off your shoes and relax your feet. Get comfy, pouring up with Henny, we kicking it. But don't forget to like, comment, and of course, subscribe. Click that notification bell to select all so that you get notified whenever I do a video. And if you are a returning Henny Gang Mob Down member, yeah, now let's pour up on this topic. So, the whole world has been sitting back, engulfed in all things that are Diddy. And we have watched as a multitude of lawsuits and allegations have come out against the disgraced mogul. However, this time, I believe that we may be getting duped. Child, these last 6, 7 lawsuits, I don't know. They don't fit the pattern for me. And this last one that just came out that I read on yesterday, and if you missed the court doc read on that one, don't worry, I got you. Because I did cover this court doc yesterday. I don't like that. I don't want to be that close. Back up. Okay, back it up. You have a wristband? Gotta have a wristband. Anyway, yesterday I did cover the topic of I did read the contents of the last Diddy doc, and you will find that here in my library, Diddy's legal drama, 19 lawsuits and counting, okay? And if you're new here and you don't know, Henny has been covering Diddy for a very long time. Okay, you see a lot of Krishan and Blueface, but they aren't giving us anything. You see a lot of whack, but I'm tired of talking about that. But as you can see, I've been going back 4 months and counting with covering Diddy and all kinds of topics. But this case from yesterday, honey, just really threw me through a loop because it read like a bad Lifetime Lady Tampon movie, guys. I'm sorry. It really was like a bad script. And I'm not saying that I don't believe that it's possible that something happened. I'm not saying that I don't think that, these people probably experienced something. But what I'm saying is it does seem like somebody is trying to break into Hollywood with these. And I don't know if it's Bugsby or if it's the person that he has sitting back typing these court docs up. I don't know if it's Diageo that's selling them this material or paying them to write these, or if it could even be Diddy's legal team that has something to do with all of this to try to get this court case thrown out and discredited or not. But at the end of the day, what I can say is these last 7 court cases have had me sitting back scratching my head because it feels like we are in a bad production. We are on the dark side of Tubi with these cases. I'm just saying. Now, when it comes down to listening to the Diddy docs, one thing that I will say that has been a consistent with them is there has always been a story from the Cassie case all the way up to the Dawn Richard case, which was the last case that was filed prior to his indictment with the feds. All of those cases spoke about building a relationship, a bond, and grooming. That's what grooming is about. Getting to a space of having people comfortable with you, learning things about them by preying on their interests, preying on their trust, and then using those things that they desire the most as a tool and a weapon against them. And I'm sorry, but these last 7 cases just don't give me that. Now, I know, y'all know that I am very much an advocate against SA, and I'm going to ride down hard on them. But in all honesty, these cases do not fit the pattern. They do not fit the criteria. And I am just sitting here saying to myself, I know people are not going to be feeling this video, and it's okay, but I'm giving you my thoughts, my opinions, and what I feel about that. So sit back and relax as we go into a review of yesterday. Now, on yesterday, when we got into these court docs, we were reading how this young lady is alleging that she was out there in California, I believe it was. And while she was out there in California, she befriended a young gentleman by the name of Shane. Now, according to her, Shane was showing off to people that he was in communications with, or who he knew Diddy, and Diddy was his friend and all of that. And the young lady said that she was not impressed by any of that he was doing, because he was boasting. And when she was put on the FaceTime with Diddy, that she made a comment about Tupac, and that sent Diddy into a frenzy. And well, not a frenzy, but Diddy basically made a remark to her, and she felt like, hey, I'm never going to see this guy again. So I'm never going to see this guy in real life. So I really don't care what he had to say. She continued on with her friendship with the gentleman named Shane. And in that friendship, she feels that she alleges that she believes Shane set her up to have Diddy come and brutally grape her with his security. Not only that, she's saying that they themselves, Diddy and somebody by the name of KK, which would be Kristen Coram, were trying to insert a freaking IUD into her kunta cat. She's saying that after multiple tries, that KK told him that they were not able to get it in. However, she says Diddy became angry and wanted this IUD in her, so much so that he began to try to do that for himself, and he ended up scraping up the insides of her punanter. Now, after scraping up the insides of her punanter, he then went on to anally engage in grape with her, having not only him and Shane, which it started out with Shane because he ordered Shane to begin to go ahead and do the grape, and Shane obliged. Diddy then went on to anally grape her, along with one of the other security guards was there. And then there was one security guard that went by John Doe. Doe number one, that graped her vaginally while her punanter was all scraped up and cut up from them trying or attempting to allegedly put this IUD inside of her. Now, it goes on to read that she snuck out the door, couldn't find her clothes. She snuck out the door in a large t-shirt with a kitchen knife, and was sitting there while Diddy was outside in the yard, half naked, and everyone else was dressed, a landlord living upstairs and all of that. And he's just outside, half naked after the assault, chilling. And she goes over there to have a conversation with him. And then he makes a comment about Pac again. Doe number one, the security guard, then presses him by pulling out his on Diddy and presses him about what he said about Pac. Meanwhile, she's standing behind the very man that assaulted her brutally, and is being protected by him while he confronts Puff about his statement about what he said about Tupac. The document then goes on to say that Diddy took off running and that she chased after him, and she attempted to plunge the kitchen knife into him, and he turned around and pleaded for his life, and she got off of him, got up, and took off running, and he came after her. Okay. And at that time, the security guard that brutally raped her and then was protecting her when all of the Tupac stuff was going down, he then began to at her in a residential area, and no cops had came up because this was not the first time that the had gone off. It had gone off multiple times already. He had already shot off once, I think maybe twice. And now this was a third time. She goes to a neighbor's house. She tells the police do absolutely nothing once she says his name. She then attempts to go to two other police stations, claims that she made statements there. One of the places does not have the statement, just like the first sheriff's office doesn't. The second sheriff's office is telling her that she cannot have the information unless she provides documentation or proof or something like that, even though she is one of the parties on the case. And after all of that, she gets brutally raped in Shane's apartment, but then she returns to Shane's apartment and stays the night there. What? Child, this case was reading like a bad Tubi movie. I'm over it. Reading the other cases, though, it reads as if Puff Diddy is this brutal monster, and I am not debating that he has been a brutal monster who has done some brutal things, because I'm sorry, if you essay people, if you beat on people, that is horrible display of human behavior. But at the end of the day, I am not denying that people have not had experiences with him. What I am saying is, in these last 7 cases, it does not fit the narrative of what we have come to know. So let's go back and take a trip down memory lane just a little bit. I promise I'm not going to be running no content like as far as running other videos, but I am going to bring back a reminder of some things to you. So let's travel back. In the Cassie case and in the all the way up to the Dawn Richard case, Diddy built a relationship, as I said in the beginning of this video, with them. Diddy built a relationship with them, and he built trust. He groomed them to trust him. He sat up there and slowly introduced them into things in his world and brought them to a point where they felt obligated to perform certain things. They felt obligated in order to keep the beast on a leash, so to speak. But in these cases, the difference is he's just straight out brazen and bold, okay? So bold that during a white party, multiple white parties, there's 3 incidents at a white party that happened where one gentleman was allegedly raped in a van as the white party was going on. Then you have what is an alleged 16-year-old saying that he was fondled, genitalia fondled by the porta potties, excuse me, during a white party as well. So you got a whole party going on and somebody is standing by the porta potty, groping and handling your member. You have another young lady who says that she was at the One More Chance video for Biggie, One More Chance video shoot, and that Puff invited her into the bathroom. He wanted to talk to her, so they went into the bathroom. She thought that they were in there to talk. First of all, how do you go into a bathroom and sit down with somebody in a bathroom and have a conversation? They were in the bathroom. She claims that he tried to kiss her. She didn't want to kiss him, or she pushed him off. I'm paraphrasing right now, but she ended up rejecting him, and he pushed her against the wall so hard she hit her head and fell on the floor. He then pulled up her dress and began to grape her. For me, I'm sitting here and I am saying to myself, at the end of the day, that was a video shoot. There's even parts in the video where there's a woman, or at least we think that it was, I don't know. I'm not trying to be offensive to anyone, but there is a female that is standing up using the urinal to urinate. So how did that happen?
I don't think so.
Now, I'm not being rude or mean to anyone, but I am calling a thing and a spade, because at the end of the day, it is stories that get made up that do hurt people's cases when they have real cases and incidents that go on with them. Again, I am not saying that people have not experienced things, but what I am saying is that these right here, these cases right here have me sitting back like,
Bitch, what the fuck?
because at the end of the day, they're so outlandish. There's another case where it's alleging that a gentleman was orally raped in a stockroom in Herald Square's Macy's. Now, Herald Square's Macy's is very busy. I do understand that there are ways that you can have a quiet stockroom, but how would he know that he would be able to get away with doing this in a stockroom and nobody come in, nobody catch him, nobody sees nothing, none of that. The gentleman goes on to say that he was then fired from his job after he reported this incident to the company. So in a way, there are pieces that make me go, but then there are other pieces that make me go, I don't know. And my question to all of you out there who have stayed, my question to all of you is, are we being lied to? Now, I know that sounds like a crazy question to be asking in this climate, especially when it comes down to these cases. But I'm asking if we're being lied to because it seems like these new cases are a bit much. Even the case with the young lady who had the whole press conference. The bodyguard doesn't know her. The boyfriend showed text messages of where there was an inbox coming in. The bodyguard showed text messages of her asking him to cooperate. I don't know who asked to cooperate, but she asked somebody to corroborate her story. And it looks like the money grabs are out there. We have to also keep in mind, people, that this is Diddy that we're talking about. And we are talking about somebody who is a multi-millionaire, okay, who has money. And I say multi-millionaire because the last time I checked his Forbes list, which was just last month, he was down to $600 million. So he's a multi-millionaire now. Yeah. It's money. It's acknowledgement. It's a chance to go viral. It's a chance to have the public's eye. It's a chance. I'm not saying that everybody is doing that. I'm just saying that there are things out there that us as the general public have to keep in the forefront of our minds, that there are going to be people that come and make these stories up. Now, I know this lawyer that is down there in Texas. I know he's saying that they're doing their due diligence to make sure that they're getting people that are telling stories that they could corroborate, and that he's doing his best to weed out and make sure that they do not get caught up in any type of scandal, so to speak, I guess is what you would want to say. I really don't know if that's what he's doing or not. But his law firm is responsible for the last 6 cases that came out. Okay, not the one from the other day. I'm talking about the 6 that came out on Monday. And if this is a tone of what we have coming down the pipeline from him, this is going to be a very hard thing to follow, because I'm having a hard time when things don't read and they don't line up. I'm having a hard time. And understand this. I'm a person who has been through SA, who has been through being date raped and all of that. So I'm not victim blaming, shaming, or any of that. And I know sometimes that truth is stranger than fiction. So there is a possibility that these things can be happening. However, for me, it just comes off like there's a pattern. There's a pattern that we've seen with Diddy and the allegations that were brought before us, the public, in court docs prior to all of this. And the things that people were alleging in these court docs actually made sense. They made sense to us because we're listening to them and they all lined up with one another. It's not that they were using the same scenarios, so to speak, like it wasn't verbatim scenarios. It wasn't verbatim scenarios that were coming out. However, what it was is there was a theme. There was a theme. And when it came down to the theme of things, we got a sense of how he was moving and operating. And I know that I am not the only person that is looking at a lot of these cases that have been brought up against Diddy and side-eyeing them. These new cases were side-eyeing. One of the things that I've been hearing a lot of is that people actually did not believe Cassie when she first came out, and that it took for that video that was leaked through CNN for them to believe her. I can't say anything because a lot of times as people, we need to see proof. I'm a person who lives by the why, so I'm going to dig. I'm going to get my team to dig until I get to a why that satisfies, okay? And when it came down to the Cassie case, I'm one of those people that believed her from the beginning. The Little Rod case, I believed the Little Rod case from the beginning. Have I believed or not side-eyed some of the other cases that came into play? Some of the details, yes. But for the most part, no, because they all carried the grooming theme in it. Meeting him, getting to know him, letting him know you're into this, and this, and this is where you want to go, and he's offering help and this and that, and the next thing you know, boom, you're in a freak off. In these cases, they're just saying they met him And all of a sudden, there was something about them that made him know that he would be able to do this and take advantage of them. And I'm struggling. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm struggling. If you're one of those people that are struggling with this, I'm struggling with this as well. And one of the main reasons why I'm struggling with this is because of the verbiage that is being used in these 6 lawsuits. In these lawsuits, they are alleging that the GHB was put into lotions and baby oils. Now, I just read, did I read? I don't even know if I read it to y'all or not. I believe I did just read to y'all. If I didn't, I'm going to read it again, just in case I didn't. Because in all actuality, okay, I have what it is that I'm getting ready to show y'all. I just wanted to make sure I have my screen lined up properly. Right here, in all 6 of the cases that came down from Texas, it says Combs particularly fancied the use of a popular date grape drug, Rufinol or GHB. Now, this is the first time that I've heard Rufinol. I have heard GHB, I've heard MDMA, I've heard I've heard ketamine, I've heard cocaine, I've heard Tusi. Okay. But I haven't heard Rufinol. This is the first time I'm hearing this. I'm not saying it's not there. I'm just saying this is the first time I'm hearing it. And it goes on to say that to commit heinous, non-consensual acts of sexual violence and rape against countless victims, Combs often would secretly use the rug in an alcohol beverage served at his parties, typically in seemingly innocent glass of champagne or a lemon drop. Partygoers were forced to consume the alcohol beverage containing GHB either prior to entering or while at Combs's party. There are also allegations of Combs dosing victims in lotions or similar body oils, also laced with GHB, so that the rug would be absorbed through the victim's skin and make it easier to take advantage of, exploit, or assault them. I call pushing. Now, the reason why I am saying that is because if you do a little due diligence, now I have found some information out, okay? And if you do a little due diligence, you will find this information for yourself as well. Now, I'm going to share with you all what I found on GHB, because like I've been trying to explain to people, GHB is not absorbed through the skin. But I'm going to read to you from GHB from the Better Health channel. And you can see it right here. Now, this you can go and you can find at betterhealth.vic.gov.au. And yes, AU, because unfortunately, the United States does not have, when they talk about GHB, they don't tell you how it's used and break it down for you. So this article says right here, GHB is usually swallowed, but sometimes it's injected or inserted anally. So GHB in baby oil or lotion, even without this information, let's think about that for a second. Putting GHB into a lotion or oil is the equivalent of putting chaser into your alcoholic beverage. A person who drinks a full glass of Hennessy, not Henny, not Henny me, of Hennessy, is going to be more intoxicated than the person who gets a quarter Hennessy and the rest of the way is chaser. So think about it like that. It weakens it. So how is it going to penetrate into the skin, into the bloodstream, to be effective enough for you to be able to be intoxicated with it? And that's not how we usually hear people do party rugs anyway. We've heard of people inserting alcohol into their bum to get drunk quicker, faster. We've heard of people inserting pills into their bum to get higher, quicker, faster. And now we hear that you can insert anally GHB and have the effects, okay? And this is actually a more dangerous form of consuming alcoholic beverages or rugs, because placing it into the anus, it then gives you a quicker high or a quicker drunk faster because it goes immediately into the bloodstream. So for me, I'm going to say to the GHB in the lotion and oil. That has been my stance from the beginning, and that's going to continue to be my stance even now. Okay? I'm sorry, not sorry. I'm entitled to my opinion like everybody else. I'm not being offensive. I'm just sharing my thoughts. So it's those types of things that are in there. Not only that, the lawsuit is the same till you get to the allegations. It's the same verbatim. Now, what I found interesting was I did not see in the court docs from yesterday where this young lady was talking about anything being in the baby oil. No. Nay. What I heard her talking about was how there was something inserted into her mouth that he forced her to take a pill. She never said that she had any effects that came from the baby oil that was rubbed all over her body. The only thing that happened was doe number one jumped on top of her and slid and almost fell off the bed because he put so much baby oil on her. Child, what are we talking about? Anyway, here's the thing. If we are being lied to, the question then becomes, who would be behind the lie? And I have an answer. And a lot of people are probably not going to like this answer. But follow me as I take you down this road with me. So if you wear a tinfoil kufi, put your tinfoil kufi hat on, because I believe these people right here have the means, the motive, and the money to be able to facilitate allegations. Because here's the thing. We had Little Rod come forward, but now we have 4 additional John Does. And this lawyer, Bugsby, says that he has 60 men and 60 women that have come forward. How do you get an even split like that? Like, what is the censoring process that he is using? I would love to know, because I'm sorry. I feel like he's being paid off. But that's another video for another day. What I will say to you is he's married into old money, y'all. Yeah, remember we had a conversation about Diageo being connected to old money as well, remember? Yeah. And what I'm going to read for you is the documentation that I said that I was going to bring forth to you guys in a previous video. Now, if you remember, I was telling you that Diageo has ties into Washington, and I unfortunately was unable to find said article. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I have found said article, and we are going to read said article so you know what time it is. It is time for me to what? Put on my glasses so we could read this, okay? And we're going to get into this, and then I'm going to give you my theory after. So here is the article that I have been telling you guys about. And as you can see, this was published on September 12th of 2023. And this article talks about how the Discus has a bar out there in Washington that views the Capitol Dome. Okay. And how only way you can get in here is to basically be invited by an employee, or if you are having an event or meeting and they approve you to be able to use their bar, that's how you will get in here. Now, Henny, why are you bringing up the Discus? Because I know the Discus, doing my research, I know that Diageo at one point in time, while they were a part of the Discus, did decide to leave. So they are no longer a part of the Discus any longer. However, okay, and I'm going to show you this because I know, I got to show the proof. 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 Diageo left the Discus, okay? Diageo to leave U.S. Spirits trade body Discus. Diageo and Distilled Spirits Council part ways. Diageo drops Discus membership. Okay, I see. I know. I did my due diligence and my research. News alert, Diageo leaves Discus at the end of the year. Okay, and this was back in 2022. However, and the reason I'm doing this is because I know when people start saying, well, Henny, they're not a part of the Discus anymore, so therefore they don't have any ties to Washington. Please follow me. In this article written September 28th of 2022, Diageo leaves U.S. Spirits trade body Discus, and then it talks about how they left, and then the Diageo spokesperson speaks out and says, at this time, we have chosen to focus our resources on key strategic priorities, which we would like to pursue, but we will remain an active and committed player in the industry. But when the article ends, because right here, the article is done after this, okay? It's done after this. But if you go right here, because this is how things get snuck in. You see this right here? Let's read that. Diageo remains involved in innovatives run or funded by Discus, such as the Foundation for Advancing Alcohol Responsibility and responsibility.org. Diageo remains involved with innovatives run or funded by Discus. So there are still ties to the Discus to this day. The Discus is what, people? The Discus is a part of Congress. They're up there. They're on Capitol Hill. Okay, they even have themselves a congressional bourbon caucus. Yeah. Right here. Congressional Bourbon Caucus. The caucus was founded in 2009 and is made up of a bipartisan group of members that are dedicated to strengthening the bourbon industry in the United States, and educating other members on legislative and regulatory issues impacting the industry. Okay, they have a whole bourbon caucus. Diageo was a part of the Discus. They still have their ties to the Discus. Yet you want me to believe or ignore that with them being tied into the Discus and them being tied into families that money, old money that dates back to the 17th century, that goes all the way back, that they wouldn't have a hand in any of this or be able to produce any of this, be able to make the feds, Homeland Security, move on Diddy. Sorry, it's a conspiracy theory that I'm not exactly going to be letting go anytime soon. So this would benefit Diageo because these stories, these allegations that are coming out by these people are actually painting Diddy as an actual deviant and a monster where nobody is going to want to work for him or work with him. At the end of the day, he has also begun to lose some of his loss. He's also began to lose some of his fortune behind this. He's lost deals and partnerships and brandings, and he's lost all of that already after all of these cases, especially after that Cassie video came out. So Diageo can break him and take his power away from him. They feel like they had a hand in creating that power and privilege that he had, and even giving him some of that money. That 40 mil a year probably ain't looking so bad to him anymore. Now, on the flip side of things, why I say that Diddy's team could be behind this too, his lawyers could be behind this too, is because what better strategic way than to put some false information out there that would then question the legitimacy of all other allegations, be it true or in between? We don't know where these allegations are coming from. We don't know who's actually sitting back and pinning these allegations. But the one thing that I can say for sure is I don't know about these. And I really just did this video to give people something to think about, because I know as people, we are so blindly led into stories because they're scandalous and they're salacious and gets the people going, right? But we're free thinkers. So we need to begin to delve back into our free thinking and be able to have these types of conversations where we actually delve into topics that may be against the grain or popular opinion, but we need to delve into these topics and have these conversations about things that we see in front of our face that just don't make sense. Well, if another Diddy allegation comes out, you know your girl will be covering it. And until then, y'all know what I say. Make sure you vibe high so that the BS don't stick. Man, let me just say it. Vibe high so that the bullshit don't stick. I'll see y'all on Clubhouse tonight at 9:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I will also see you in the next video. Peace, y'all.
'Cause I don't want the simple life.